my horse, take my land. It's okay because I've got Dan. The sheriff might have fucked Trixie, but he can't take the gold from me. Stick your thumb in my ass. Fleets are fucking hard to pass. But I don't need your sympathy, cause you can't keep the gold from me. Slit your throat, feed the hogs, buck-toothed beavers slapping logs. You can't keep the gold from me.
Welcome to another episode of Anyways, which is a video podcast about the television show Deadwood. We are currently reviewing episode 6 of season 1 of Deadwood, which is called Plague. I'm Ben.
I'm Jordan.
I'm Lauren.
I'm Chad.
Yeah, and so in this episode, Bullock went out on to catch the killer of Wild B. Hickok.
And I was immediately like, wait, this is it? He gets immediately assaulted by a Native American, like, within, 30 seconds of him riding out.
It's because he shouldn't have been doing it.
Yeah, it was a dumbass move. He shouldn't have fucking done it.
I'm going to go alone.
Did you think he was dead?
No, I didn't think he was dead. I mean, I don't know too many spoilers about the show, but pretty sure Timothy Oliphant isn't going to fucking die before the movie. So
He was in The Girl Next Door.
They were going to 1-2 punch you, though, with, Wild Bill. And then
That's true.
they were like, ooh, nobody's safe.
nobody's safe.
Except he is safe. Timothy.
Except
Spoiler alert.
Timothy Oliphant's safe. And Brad Dourif.
But they
right?
killed a Carradine.
Is Brad Dourif safe?
They killed off Wild Bill.
They went with historical accuracy.
I can't believe they killed off Wild Bill.
Well, he's riding down the trail, and his horse gets shot with an arrow.
Yep.
And then this man stands over him and starts talking to him in his native language, and then slowly he starts choking him.
Yes.
And then eventually he beats him to death with a rock, very brutally.
Yeah.
You know, when the man did not seem to have a particular amount of. He did not kill Bullock when he was down. But
Right.
as soon as Bullock had a chance, he beat his head in.
He murdered him brutally.
Yeah, he went pretty beast mode.
It's like those last 6 or 7 blows were about Bullock.
Yeah.
Not about the.
Yeah.
The
How
guy,
do you like your main character now? Fucks.
He fucks.
I think he's got some things he needs to work through. I think he was, getting a lot of stuff out on that poor
on a
man's
rock.
head.
Yeah.
There's a lot of heads and rocks.
Yeah, there's a lot
So
of
far.
jump cuts to different versions of him, different
Yeah.
Yeah.
you got this angle, this angle, this angle. It a little bit it has a little bit of the Old West thing where it's like the Caucasian dude does not lose the fight no matter what. 'Cause there's more later in the episode which would give reason why he might have won that fight, but it still seems like he's overpowered. Like he doesn't die when he
Right.
seems like he was going to die.
Well, it's like he's a historical figure, so he has plot armor.
Yeah.
He probably didn't actually get attacked by a Native American historically.
He had +5 plot armor.
+5 plot armor.
Yeah.
But I was about to say something. I can't remember what it was.
That's good.
We'll jump ahead a little bit with that story. Like when
What
Charlie
was in
Utter,
that glass?
when Charlie Utter finds him, he looks at the pain on his horse and he explains that he may not have been trying to kill you. He may have just been counting coup, which is because he's burying the Indian who got his head cut off to pay for the $50 bounty that somebody took into town when Wild Bill got shot.
Yeah.
So that's the guy whose head is sitting on top of the thing, and the guy may have just not wanted to kill Timothy Bullock, and he just wanted to show that he could best him. Or that's the implication. Anyway, it's just very sad.
Yeah, I did enjoy Charlie Utter's narration
Yeah.
of the horse and
Right.
what everything meant.
Yeah.
So that was
It was
fascinating.
like, you're lucky you're alive,
very lucky.
you dumb fuck, because he basically
He's
just
playing with you.
Yeah, he gave you soft hands, basically. It was like, because you would have been dead in 2 seconds if he was trying to kill you.
Eddie has soft hands.
Very soft hands.
And Charlie Utter is just saying that so he doesn't have to hear whether or not his friend Wild Bill Hickok is dead.
Right.
And then immediately, like they have this beautiful, like messed up hair on Timothy Oliphant where his hair is like just straight up and he's just got blood all over his face. And he's like, I'm awake and your friend's dead. And then it's just it's a really nice moment where you know.
I questioned that delivery at the time, but Ben saying it again makes me think it was the right thing to.
I don't think he said those words.
That's exactly what he said, as far as I remember.
I'm awake and your friend's dead.
I'm awake. I look really cool. Your friend's super dead.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh yeah,
punk
he
rock.
did say super dead.
He did say he's like the most dead.
Yeah.
There's a lot of moose in this.
Yeah.
Right.
I've
Right.
already buried him, Liz. That's all
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah. Excellent writing again on Deadwood.
But Charlie had said that Hickok there were reports of his death throughout his life, so he thought maybe it was a false report.
Right.
I thought that was a nice
Yeah.
delivery on
And
that
I mean,
as well.
you might as well just finish out the plot of
Oh, what
them.
what else happened?
I mean, they end up taking the Native American guy up to that thing that you see in the very first part of the
Yeah,
episode.
the burial structure.
Yeah, the burial
Right,
structure
and
for
then they put the body on top of it.
And at the moment that happened, we cut from the pest tent with Doc Cochran. We're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but it's okay.
Let's just finish up
It's
this
fine.
plot.
But
point.
like they play this music, and you were like, "That sounds like Grey's Anatomy music." And it really does seem like they're
Really
going to
does.
end on that shot of the burial ground, and then like, look, we're taking this Indian, we beat his head in with a rock next to his friend who we cut his head off, and we're putting them together, and it's a really sweet moment.
Yeah.
And it's like it's not that sweet, and they're not that nice for just like Charlie Utter doesn't. He's like he has this rage out. He's like, this Indian was just doing this, and he's really talking about Wild Bill and processing his emotion, but.
right.
Again, to jump ahead to the end of the episode, we end on Al Swearingen. We cut back from this moment with this nice guitar music with like pictures of like how Charlie Utter and Timothy Oliphant or Bullock, our heroes, like put these Indian bodies on this thing.
Yeah.
These Native American bodies on this thing, and then you said it was a weird ending, and it cuts back to Al Swearingen in the bar talking about the newspaper.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
like
a much
praising,
more honest ending.
and like praising himself for the wording that he
For all
used.
the little additions.
I
it's like,
I did that.
I like it. It kind of makes him relatable because everybody's like that. It's
Yeah.
like I was in the VIP magazine.
Yeah.
Look, see, I was standing over there like next to the whatever, or something.
Yeah.
I got in the newspaper because I was standing in the background during something or whatever.
Right.
He's like excited that even though he's like the head honcho of the community.
But he doesn't seem like it at the end of that
Yeah.
episode.
No.
For the
Right.
first time, he doesn't seem like
kinda seems
he
more
knows
of a
what he's
cog.
doing. Yeah, because he's like, oh man, that was smart that Sai bought that.
But yeah, he's been outmaneuvered.
Yeah.
And he didn't even have a chance to know he was outmaneuvered until the end, so he had to kind of,
A thing that never even occurred to him to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
which has got to be terrifying
Right.
for someone that felt like they were the head honcho.
Because he's so racist, he would have never thought to build a fucking thing down there in, the
If you can say
Asian
one thing
part.
about Cy Tolliver, he's progressive.
Well, I mean,
He's a true capitalist.
What did you learn about Cy Tolliver? Let's go there. Let's jump around. What did you learn about Cy Tolliver this episode, Chad?
What I thought was interesting was that suddenly the plague brought them together.
Isn't that beautiful? The fear of losing all of your Johns to
Yes.
the plague.
Yes. Has brought Sai and Al together, and now they have this kind of shaky bond
Like a
with
bigger-
each other.
It's like a
Begrudging.
simpatico sort of, like a
and where normally
shaky truce.
he would have been pissed off about him buying that plot of land, and been like, why didn't I think of that? He's almost just like, that's pretty smart. I was like, I should have done that.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, God damn it! I got a cocksucking son of a bitch.
Yeah, right, yeah.
And so, yeah, they have some weird shaky alliance
But
now.
he even did him a solid and didn't rat him out about
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
a guy in his place
And he-
with it.
and he points it out,
That
yeah.
or that he sent a guy secretly
Mm-hmm.
to get, and he never made it or whatever.
Yeah, and Sai thanks him.
Yeah,
So this is
Like-
dangerous.
we can coexist.
Yeah, but it's dangerous.
Yeah.
You have the two worst fucks in town conspiring
Shaking
now.
hands.
Yeah.
They're both sussing each other out, though, really.
Right,
Like,
right.
if you think about it.
Is this the new bromance? bromance
Yeah.
in the
It's a very
Did
uncomfortable
we just become
romance.
best friends?
Are we friends now?
yeah.
Yeah.
So
They had matching
Bullock
lockets.
and Wild Bill is dissolved because Wild
death.
Bill's fucking dead.
It's hard.
And so now is the new bromance between Cy and Al?
I mean, were they?
Sal?
That's not their celebrity couple
Yeah.
name.
Sile?
It's just cocksucker. Their celebrity couple name is cocksucker.
Swallower.
Yeah, that's it.
You learned a little bit more about Cy Tolliver and how he relates to his employees, particularly Joni.
Yeah.
Yes.
This episode.
I love Joni.
Joni is great.
And the parallel between Al and Trixie and Cy and Joni and how they have some similarities, but
Well, they both get kind of special treatment.
they both get special
Among
treatment. But Trixie's very terrified of Al and does everything behind his back. And Joni obviously isn't too scared of Cy because she's able to go out in the open with what's his name?
Ellsworth?
Ellsworth, and do this kind of like act of defiance, which Trixie's over here doing it behind the scenes
Yeah.
with the widow. And the thing that Al won't say to Trixie, Cy will say, and say that I have feelings for you.
Yeah.
And so, yes,
Yeah.
there's a lot of interesting parallels between those two couples.
Yeah, yeah.
They had that romantic moment where he said, like, "Hey, I kind of love you. Also,
Don't fuck with me.
don't make me hit you."
I
wanna touch
wanna
you like this.
I only ever want to touch you like this.
Not other ways.
And
make me touch you
that's when he got her heart.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wonder if
That's
her
when they
being-
both got hard.
Yeah, she was super lady boner and everything.
yeah.
I wonder if her being a little depressed plays into the fact that, like, Trixie's not really depressed. She's a smart, scrappy woman of her circumstances,
Right.
and she knows her lot, and she knows the way to kind of play around it because she's successful
Right.
in still being alive in such a difficult time. And it seems in the way that Cy sort of gives off this kind of classier sort of establishment, and like Joni seems like maybe like she's seen some shit, but maybe not quite to the level that Trixie has. So maybe in that kind of when Trixie it's like, I've never seen a rich woman high.
Yeah.
Asking, I mean, it's like,
Right, that's such
Right. Exactly. It was like, well, I wouldn't know. I've never seen a rich woman high. Maybe they act differently.
yeah, like
Right,
genteel
yeah.
ladies.
What strikes me about that scene where Al is trying to determine whether or not Trixie has fed the widow Garrett dope in order to drug her so that they can buy her property again, she says something like, you need to follow her behind the screen and force the thing down her throat, and then look down her throat to make sure she's not hiding it between her tongues. And she says something like, well, how? I guess I'll come up with a good excuse to do that. And he's like, are you being funny? And it's just like, he has no empathy for the 100th time with any of his underlings. Like,
Yeah.
he can't imagine, like, the difficulties
Well.
that he puts on them.
Yeah.
He did, though, when the young lady was scared that she was going to
Oh,
get
you're
the
right.
plague.
That was an amazing
Yeah.
scene.
And so he, and
let
then he
her off
like,
light.
yeah, she can just give a handy. So
That's
it's
it.
fine.
For a couple
just
of
a couple of
days.
handies.
Just a couple of handies
It's
for
fine.
80 days.
And,
fine.
and for the audience, it's like she's scared she has the smallpox because
Yeah.
her John got the smallpox.
And they were kissing.
Yeah.
And then he
Yeah.
brings up, well, anyone that drank after him could be crying too. And then he listens to her story about how she lost her mom when they were coming over. And kind of he does like a little micro expression. You see, it registers
Yeah.
a little bit of
Yeah.
pity. But then he brings up, like, well, maybe you didn't catch it then.
Yeah, maybe you're immune.
Maybe you're immune.
Yeah.
You can just give a couple of hand jobs
The
for a few
smallest
days.
amount of empathy that Al
Right,
can,
We're all like,
can
like
summon
good
up.
job.
But that's what this show does, though. It's like we've come to expect zero empathy from him.
So
So
anything.
the smallest thing,
wow.
you're kind of like, well, he's not that bad.
He was like slightly less bastardy than usual in that
Well,
moment.
he didn't have to be that way. He didn't
could have
have-
just fucking killed her and been
Yeah.
done with it.
Yeah, smacked her across. Yeah. What was it? He put his boot on her neck like he did Trixie in that first episode.
Yeah.
Trixie shot a guy though.
Yeah, because the guy was a dick.
Not that that's appropriate response.
Well, we've established in earlier episodes. We started this series by Chad saying sometimes violence is okay against people who are already violent, and like with the child, all the Persimmon Phil and the Nick Offerman. Like,
or if you're E-Bombs Gary.
Or if you're dumb as shit, then you just need to die because you don't have a place in Deadwood.
if you're already violent or you're dumb, we can kill you.
In Deadwood, and not these aren't real world rules.
Yeah. To clarify.
Yes, no.
To clarify.
No law at all in Deadwood.
No.
All right, well, let's go through the episode a little bit more.
Yeah.
It starts with the Indian attacking Bullock, which we talked about. And then we start with Merrick is drunk in the bar, drinking by himself at like 7 a.m. in the morning.
He didn't know why he ever quit,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
once he started again, he didn't know why he ever quit.
Yep.
Like that's how everyone feels when they drink.
Of course.
And he makes
Why
a libation live patient pun.
Right, yeah. Doctor, libation.
So do you think I said live patient? It's like, what does that even mean?
No, nobody thought that.
Nobody
Jeffrey
thought that,
Jones.
you idiot. He's another stupid
kill him off.
character
Chad's gonna
in
kill him off now.
this show. Oh my god. Anyway, go ahead.
And then we get Ellsworth and Joni at the start of Ellsworth
Some of the
visits the
best
Bella
interactions.
Union.
Oh
The
my
best.
god.
And she teaches him to learn craps. And
Yeah. Keep a girl company. Well, I can, but I'm expensive.
But I'm expensive.
That was like one of the lines. I
Yeah,
was like,
and I just almost got up and left. It was over. It was just over then.
There's no more episode.
I was
That
like,
was
no,
enough.
that's amazing.
And she allows him to say the word fuck, and he says, "And thank you for allowing me my full range of expression."
That was like the other thing that I was trying. I was like, why don't
We
I
knew
say
each other
that?
better. I'd throw a fuck in there somewhere.
He might be my favorite character.
Ellsworth's great because they don't overuse him.
Yeah.
They just sprinkle him in there.
He's like
Just sprinkle a little
salt
Ellsworth.
to like perfectly season your meal.
And he seems to realize that, like, he seems to have an outward persona of like a hick prospector, but he's a little bit smarter than that.
Oh,
like
yeah, he's way
Dan.
more savvy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he like realizes that like Joni's in trouble, but he doesn't do anything. He just is like, he watches and pretends.
Yeah. Well, because he's not stupid.
Yeah.
He can't do anything about the situation, so he just.
But if he
Goes with
keeps playing,
Yeah.
then maybe he can save her a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, it's just money, and he's got a good lot he's working. So.
I got a working gold claim.
And I
A
forget,
working fucking goal.
Working
fucking gold claim.
I don't know if we talked about it, but he seemed to basically help get Jack McCall off. He was on the jury for Jack McCall, and he looked up at Al Swearingen, and basically he helped get that killer go free. Like, he's usually basically the salt of the earth, but at the beginning of this series, he does a few things that are a little shady. Let's see. Then we get Joey, the guy who they sent to Nebraska. He's come back and he has smallpox.
Smallpox Joey. That's what his friends call him. Until they die of the smallpox, until they succumb.
We didn't check in again on what's his name?
Who?
Right? The guy out in the woods.
Oh, we know he did not.
He's just out in the fucking woods.
He's doing well according to Calamity Jane.
Yes,
Yeah, 'cause
that's
she
all she
nursed
said.
him.
Jane said he's better.
Yeah, he's better out in the woods
Yeah.
by himself.
Left him out on that sled.
She probably left him a little bit to drink.
Yeah.
No, she didn't.
Not a lot of wolf activity, I suppose, in that area.
Left him something to drink, but it was mostly just fucking whiskey. So it ain't gonna do shit for him.
So maybe he might be dead already.
I apologize.
Oh, and then let's see. Al and the doc to talk about smallpox, and EB is told to make sure, Trixie make sure, to make sure that Alma is taking the opium or the laudanum or the dope.
And another great interaction.
Yeah, I think it
at-
was opium.
At the hotel door, like he's wont to do, where he can't go in there even though he owns the hotel, but he like feels like he should be able to just walk in there.
Right.
What?
How's Buddha doing?
How's Winter doing in there? And if like any other actor did it, you would just be like, oh my god, this is fucking terrible. But
yeah.
because it's him, it's like just amazing with him going,
What's the actor's name?
what's happening there?
Sanderson.
William Sanderson.
William Sanderson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
And he's
really-
just incredible at being this, like, I don't know if he has Asperger's or what, but like he's like just socially fucked. He
Yeah.
doesn't understand what's going on at any point in time. So he doesn't understand that he can't like
Yeah.
do that.
But he's able to pull it off.
Yeah,
Oh, he can
yeah,
pull it
yeah.
off
So
100%.
So remarkable.
Yes.
He's got a lower level of scheming that he's proficient
Oh,
at.
sure.
But he's
But
just
he
not got any
telegraphs
subtlety.
it. He telegraphs it to everybody.
Yeah.
It's like-
I'm doing something I shouldn't be.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a great scene where he's been told to do something, and he walks across the thoroughfare, and he's pushing people out of the way, telling horses to go around him, and he's awesome.
and he's also like cursing out,
Right,
basically,
yeah, yeah.
too, and being like,
Like
what a.
tattered coat, and he
Yeah.
just looks like so
Right.
unfortunate and ridiculous. And but yet those horses actually did move, and I
They
thought that
did,
was
yes.
really
Yeah.
pretty
They're good
great.
horses.
Yeah, and he shoulder bumped that one guy. I was like,
Yeah.
doing?
He does that thing like where you argue with your boss in the shower.
Yes.
Yeah.
Before you
Yeah.
go to work.
Yep. Yep.
He's a real toady, but he's you would hope that someday he would be as forceful as he was. He can't be as forceful as he was in the street with the horses as he can be with Al Swearingen because he almost killed them last episode.
Yeah.
No,
Or like
and
2
you would
episodes.
totally kill him.
Yeah.
Like anyone would totally kill him. Like
Yeah.
you can't do it with Bullock. You can't do it with anybody. He's
No.
just
Yeah.
he's a shower screamer downer.
Right.
Like he's totally that guy.
Shower screamer
Shower
down.
screaming down.
That's the
But
thing.
The
people say.
Swiffer shower screamer downer.
I do have sympathy for him though.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I do feel like he could be something else if he was in a different situation. So I don't know.
Yeah, that actor's able to give you any like pity. 'Cause
Yes.
I mean, it's sympathetic, but it's pity.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get
yeah.
when you
It's
reach
like-
deep down, it is
you're
just
like,
fucking pity.
Oh,
Like,
you're
this guy is Shakespeareanly tragic.
yeah, it's really.
There is no help for him.
There's
Bless
no
his
hope.
heart.
He's in over his head. And that thing, like you brought up last time, like he thinks he's smarter than he is. And always, I mean, we've all known people like that. Anyone that thinks that they're cleverer than they are always the most obvious and telegraph to everybody. And you always kind of want to laugh because you're like, I know what you're doing.
Right.
I'm gonna let it play out because it's funny, and then I'll like one up you.
Yep.
But I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be jumping ahead
That's okay.
because it's an interesting episode. It's not. It feels like kind of sputtery in a
Yeah.
lot of ways, and like it'll pick up and then leave and then kind of meander a little bit like a drunken Calamity Jane
Yes.
into the Doc's cabin,
Yeah.
and just gonna wait here a while. Great. Someone's
Running
saying
into
that when
people
I go to
being
people.
what was she saying to that one guy she ran into
He just
about like
stared
staring at her and
Well, she
like,
said if she had a mug as plug ugly as that guy, wouldn't.
I would be staring at
Staring
people.
strangers in the street.
Yeah. And then she just keeps talking to herself. There's no one. There's like an extra that's in the foreground who's talking to. You can't tell who he's talking to. It's weird.
Is she just gonna be drunk forever now? Which I'm okay with.
I mean, she's drinks a lot.
She was already a drunk, and now she's
Yeah.
sad. And
Oh,
Oh, but I
yeah.
mean, like she was somewhat lucid before,
Yeah, no, she's real bummed.
and now she's
gonna-
like fucked.
Yeah.
Which is fine because it's hilarious.
It's like Bill was her sort of anchor almost.
yeah.
right.
And Charlie's not there.
And,
Yep.
and also Charlie, like they're like I always felt like she likes him, but it's like that thing where you
they're-
fake like are
There's satellites revolving around Bill.
Bill, yeah,
and
yeah.
without that,
Oh,
it's
there's
just
nothing.
yeah,
they're
yeah.
just gonna go off into nothing.
And even if they stay together, they'll never have that thing
No.
that kind of tied them
Yep.
together.
Unless it's the memory of Bill.
Well, I mean, it could
You
be,
know.
and that often happens.
Memory of Bill.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Calamity Jane will truly be earning her name.
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I would like make the point that while Bill Hickok, didn't really, he wasn't very nice. I mean, he was very nice, but he wasn't particularly nice to Calamity Jane. You know, like it was more something that she did where she would just smile upon thinking of him. Like,
Well, she would think about all the good deeds that he did do, but they weren't necessarily directed towards her.
yeah, yeah.
It's just like he's a good person,
Yeah.
and so it's like, wow, this is touching.
But
Yeah.
he was her best friend. She repeats that
Right.
a lot.
She does say that.
And yeah. Like,
It's
but
easier to
it's-
say that
it's-
than like I loved him unrequitedly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
one-way street.
Like the real life Calamity Jane, I think, built up her connection with him a lot for publicity's sake afterwards, and I think
Yeah.
claimed that she actually married him secretly. But like people said that's just bullshit. But I don't know if she really married him. But I just love the idea that, like, in the third episode, which we may or may not have recently watched, he's like walking into the hotel and she can't get inside the hotel because Farnham won't let her, and he's just like, let her in. And then they have a shot of her and she just beams. Like, he's doing something special for me because he really likes me.
Right.
And it's really more he's just like drunk. He wants to go to sleep on the staircase, and
he's
just
kind.
wants. Yeah, he's kind.
Yeah.
You know.
He's not a bad person.
Yeah.
It's like, there's a sick kid. She can have my fucking bed.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't care. I'm drunk.
Right.
Like, I can't tell the fucking wood floor from a bed right now. I need to just lay the fuck down.
But in this episode, like, she goes inside the doctor's office. She gets a lot of joy out of surprising him.
Yep.
And-
Fucking Brad Dourif.
I got joy out of that too.
We all got joy.
He,
What did he say?
It's
Like-
the best double take ever.
Really?
He looks at her, and then he looks away. Jesus Christ!
Which, as I may or may not have said when we may or may not have rewatched something, I would just watch them.
Yeah.
Together
Just a supercut
yeah.
of Jane and Duck.
They don't even have to be those characters, I think.
No.
I think I just watch them together.
Just them interacting.
Just them.
And he
As
asked,
long as Brad Dourif has that same haircut.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's nice to have that haircut.
he asked her, you know, that she says, you've been drinking a lot. And she, like, gets angry. And he's like, if you were a farmer, I would ask you how the farming was going.
Yeah.
It's like your profession. Drinking, it's what you do.
And they have this wonderful conversation, which is very funny.
It's so great.
Where they come around to the idea that she knows there's a smallpox epidemic, and he's like, he's trying to kick her out, and he's like, wait.
Are you okay?
What the?
Yeah, she's like, what?
How do you feel? What fuck difference does that make?
And he again reaffirms that she has a gift for taking care of
Yeah.
people.
Yes.
And then she hasn't gotten sick, and then
This luck must be a part of
Yeah.
you. This is your destiny.
ask
You know?
well, and you can be useful
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
all
yeah.
you're doing is like drinking in a field or the woods or
You drink after work
Exactly.
like I do.
drink after work like I
Yes,
do.
yes.
Said by probably a lot of medical professionals.
Yeah.
So that was a fantastic scene of them together.
Her other big scene is she goes and visits the orphan who has been, you know, with the widow Alma Garrett, whose husband has just died, and she's trying to kick laudanum addiction.
Yeah, she's fucking having painful withdrawals.
Yeah, but like, and there's this moment where at the end of the scene where she goes, basically she's left. You know, Calamity Jane was supposed to be. She had the orphan.
Yeah.
And she just left her with the widow.
Yeah.
And she like goes back
To get drunk.
There's this sense that like it would be nice if she took the orphan back.
Yeah.
And it's just a very nicely underplayed thing by like Molly Parker as Alma Garrett, where she's just like Calamity Jane is like beaming, like she's like talking about like giving pennies to the orphan because she's cussing.
Yeah.
And then it's just this. Alma Garrett has the orphan just because
Yeah.
she happened to be in the way.
But she also, Calamity, I think, sees the Trixie is like obviously the one taking care of the child right now.
And both of them. Because
Yeah.
earlier on, and when the dog's like telling her, she's like, "What a whore!" And he's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I'm a whore."
Oh,
You're
you say
drunk.
You're awful
So-
judgmental.
Yeah, don't judge other people. But yeah, and then she's like speaking when she
Yeah.
goes back, and she looks like a
Exactly.
tiny little
This is a huge step
infantata
up.
or something. It's,
Yeah.
it's
This is, yeah, I mean,
Calamity Jane can't provide for this child.
no, and she couldn't even get her to speak. So it's like,
Yeah.
obviously something else is going on here.
But should Alma Garrett be, you know, dealing with her husband's death 2 days ago and then like getting off of laudanum addiction and also taking care of a new orphan?
But I
It's
guess what I'm saying is
a
she's
rough couple
not.
of days.
Oh,
She's
yeah,
not. The Trixie is the one who's actually doing it.
That's true.
And then honestly, at this point, the kid is now almost like taking care of her because like when Farnham comes in later and he's coming in for like the second fucking time with sheets in an episode, to me like, here are your sheets, ma'am. I just thought maybe you might need some more for the second day in a row. And she's like, oh, and then she starts faking like she's, you know, high as shit or whatever. And the kid's looking at her. Doesn't the kid go like,
Like,
huh?
Once he leaves,
Like,
the
oh,
kid
you're
laughs,
doing
like,
a good job.
We tricked him.
Yeah, we got him.
Yep. So like she knows what's up, and it feels like she's kind of there to take care of Alma too. So like I don't know.
Well, and you don't know who Alma can be when she's not kicking
throwing up and
a laudanum addiction,
Yes.
you know, and
Yeah.
there still will be more still even like laudanum addiction recovery. Alma Garrett is best case scenario for this kid, especially if she
Oh,
has like
yeah.
a working prospect.
Yes.
A working fucking gold
Working.
claim.
Working fucking gold claim.
Let's see.
Dan calls it that in this episode too. No, he calls it a hell of a something like that. Gold claim.
I love to think that the only reason that they know that happened is because Ebrahm's, whatever.
Ebrahm's World.
Ebrahm's World fell
Yeah.
too.
He landed on
a
gold. he smashed his head
Yeah.
into a gold nugget.
Fell
He
head
fell
fucking first
Into a
into a
couple
gold
of
claim.
times in a row.
gold strike. That's what he called it. Yeah.
The other big thread that we have to deal with is Al realizes they need to get together as a group to address the smallpox epidemic.
And get a lot of fruit.
Yeah, he tells Johnny to get some fruit.
We need to get some fruit.
So great.
Have
Johnny's
some fucking
confusion.
pears over there.
Peaches and pears.
Peaches
Help
and
yourself.
pears over
Spoon
there.
them out.
Spoon them out amongst yourselves.
Chad said when he gave us pizza.
They made such a big deal out of them peaches and pears, and then when it came down to it, was like, scoop me your fucking self.
They're on the counter.
It's official. We're having an official meeting. There should be fruit or something on the table.
It's like something his mom had told him growing up.
Right, yeah.
He's just like, I've been to Chicago.
But
Yeah,
al-
fruit.
But also, we're seeing the beginnings of society in Deadwood. The heads of state, essentially,
Yeah.
are showing up
Yeah.
to solve a crisis. And then they have to work with the local press
The clergy.
and the clergy to manage the situation.
They have to spin it
Yes,
with
they
the
have
local
to.
press. 'cause
Exactly.
All the big wigs of the town standing around the guy printing the newspaper.
Yep, and telling him exactly what the fuck to say. It's like, here's the beginnings of society, Deadwood.
Right, yeah. No law at all, except accidentally.
Now there is.
Yeah.
Well, and then, I mean, at school, Saul and Bullock throw down, not as much, but given that they're just started,
Yeah.
they're in down 50.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Still
it comes
get-
from like decency. Like a lot of this is like, these people might be at each other's throats normally, but they're like, this is a thing that we all need to deal with
Yep.
for the good of everyone here.
Yeah.
And so set all that stuff aside. We need to figure this out.
Right.
kind of thing.
That is a crazy concept that could ever happen and be a positive impact on
It's
a
weird that-
society.
I know.
It's
yeah.
weird that Deadwood figured it out,
Yeah.
but we can't.
I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say it comes from necessarily decency. I say it's hurting their bottom line.
Oh, well,
like
yeah.
and they
Also
self-preservation.
I meant
Like,
Saul Stars.
Oh, you saw.
Sure.
Saul specifically.
specifically them.
Saul's not an
But the
asshole.
rest of the business leaders, yeah,
Yeah.
it's bottom line stuff.
And
but
that's like that contribution's nothing to them.
no.
And the first time I watched this, it was very shocking to me. The idea that they would have any idea of a civic anything. The idea that they would meet and form a town. Like I thought it was just going to be like the chaos throughout, and the idea that that they have all these murderous impulses. They literally kill people for a little bit of gold,
Yeah.
and then, but at the same time, they're still forming a town. They still have a civic sphere, and it's just shocking, actually, the idea that the city fathers would be murderous killers.
Yep.
And that would still work.
But
as a
it's
functioning
but they're
town.
still going to continue being murderous killers. It's just going to become more and more secretive as time goes on, as it is now.
No comment because we can't tell you what happens.
No, please don't tell me. But I'm just making predictions.
I mean, you've seen anything with society ever, so it seems like a fair guess. Ooh, can we talk about Trixie and Al together? Like when he's trying to find out, like, because Farnham, I always mess up his name.
Yeah.
When he's like, something strange going on in that hotel room, all squirrely.
She don't seem like she's hopped up on drugs to me.
Yeah, whatever.
If she was high, I'm a monkey's uncle.
Heavens to Betsy!
Happens to Betsy.
Oodle lolly.
My goodness
He
gracious.
likes to say. That's the only thing he didn't say. But I thought it was really fantastic how like Al and Trixie always like the meeting of those two minds and like the wonderful, very subtle power play that is always going, and you're like Al's winning, but like only a little.
Yeah, just
Like just a little, and he kind of
Just
knows.
by default at
and
the
she
end.
Yeah.
and
kinda.
she gives it to him. Like she allows him to have that amount of shit he's not gonna fucking kill her.
No.
He's not gonna fucking kill
You
her.
trust her to like shave his foot. You're
Yeah,
gonna kill
no.
Right.
What was the line?
At least not right now.
You
Oh, but
gotta
not
hang
now.
on to a girl who shaved your foot.
Yeah. That's,
You got to what?
Not too deep.
Not too fucking deep.
but what is he?
The line.
What was the line? I'm trying to remember this thing about.
Oh, when she says, "You think I'm trying to be clever?"
Oh yeah, and he's like,
And-
I'd never.
Yeah, I'd sooner try and touch the moon than.
Then figure out a whore's thinking or
Yeah.
something.
Right. Then
loving.
Then take on the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take on a horse thinking.
a horse thinking.
Yeah.
I'd sooner touch the moon.
Well, it's so great then that she's just like telling Alma like, hey, you have to pretend that you're like super high,
Yeah.
so we can buy you more time.
Right. And
And-
you don't have to fool Al. You just have to fool Farnham.
So if you,
Just skeeve him out and get him to leave.
yeah. And there was nothing
Oh, she
lusty
was
in
high.
her
No.
reaction.
She
That's
was
so
high
amazing.
shit.
She's all like sweaty and just is like,
And like
"Hello,
just
Mr.
barely.
Farnham, and
Oh my god.
How are you?
I just have to
today?"
talk breathier.
Well, and we also have to consider like maybe what she was wearing was like
Well,
inflammatory back then.
yes. I mean, she's
You know, it's nothing now.
Yeah.
But yeah.
clearly it's nothing now.
Nothing.
Nothing.
But like, yeah, like a nightgown or a negligee, whatever you call it.
But you did also walk into her room,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
she's
just
clearly
burst in.
unwell.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well, it may have been inflammatory for Farnham. Like
Yeah, yeah.
Farnham's idea of what's going on in a situation may be different
Yeah.
than, like, I love how scandalized he is when Al suggests that he did something untoward. He was like, there was a
There
child.
was a
in the-"
child in the room.
And he,
Should I draw a map for you to circumvent the child? That's from a different part of.
Yeah, but I'm just glad that he said the word circumvent.
and then, I guess to go back to the meeting, after the meeting, the Reverend Smith has a seizure.
yes.
Yeah.
It's very sad.
But now it's out in the
apparently
open.
been an ongoing thing. I didn't really pay
happened
attention.
once. It
Like
happened
once.
right after Wild Bill's funeral. Like when Bullock and them kind of told him to get lost
Yeah.
because he was being a little too like preachy and Bullock was not having it.
Yeah.
He went back to his tent and he had a seizure.
Okay. I don't really remember that, but okay. Sure.
He was alone in his tent on the
Yeah.
ground convulsing. And
Yeah.
No one saw.
And wonderfully, Al again showing, a sense of decency, I guess. He knows I think he or maybe it's Doc
His-
Cochran who puts this, he talks about,
Yeah, his brother.
he talks
had-
about his brother also had an affliction where
Yeah.
he had seizures.
Because what is it?
Oh,
Fruit
the
Spoon
medical-
Johnny's trying to get them. And he's
yeah.
like, "Don't break every fucking tooth in his mouth."
Damn it.
So Dan uses the scabbard from his blade that he like cuts throats with.
Yeah. He fucking murders people with.
Yeah.
It's a big gray area.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Deadwood. It's just a big.
Yeah.
And from there, we go to the printing of the paper for the town to know about so the regular, ordinary folks can learn about the epidemic.
Gratis.
Free gratis.
Free gratis. That's redundant.
That means repeats itself.
I wish that fucking Owl would have just stared at Farnham then.
Oh, that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah,
that
just
really
because
was.
they have
That's
that.
a double irony.
Yeah, they
because
have that rapport.
The thing he's clarifying is what he
Yes,
does all
yes.
the time. Does that mean repeats itself?
Oh, yeah, you're right. That's a brilliant.
I know. That's.
Yeah.
I thought that's where it was going, and then he didn't do anything with it. And I thought it was like a missed opportunity, but
That's just
It
for
was.
It was
yeah.
just for us
But
to
it's-
notice later.
But it's fun. It's fun.
But there's Al takes a lot of pleasure in informing Merrick on how that article will be, and it's a better use of Al's faculties to be commenting on a word choice
Yeah.
than what he regularly does.
And I think there's some truth in that. The argument that you should use free and not gratis, because think about the people who are
They
going to be
won't-
reading this.
Yeah.
Half the people in this camp can't read.
Yeah.
You know, so
They don't even fucking wash. You think they're gonna
Gratis?
fucking read?
you going to put gratis in your newspaper?
But again, that's fucking Merrick is the paper.
Yeah.
Right.
He's
Again,
an
that's
egghead.
fucking Merrick and just being an asshole. Just using fucking words that people can't fucking understand in a town.
Latin was more common back then. They taught Latin.
I mean, that's great, but they're
Yeah, I
dumbasses
get-
that can barely read. Is like, and you're using these words for this for this article that's supposed to put people at ease,
Right.
and you're using these words that people are going to look at and go,
Where did he get Gratis?
what the hell's
Oh
he
my
talking
God.
about?
There's a gratis outbreak?
Oh, shit. I didn't know
gonna have
Gratis was in town. God damn.
Where you get them
Let's
gratis
get the hell
shots?
out of here.
I feel like Merrick is really, I mean, he obviously has a very elevated opinion of himself.
Yes.
And he, I think, feels that he is deigning to bring some culture to these people.
Yes.
He probably
So-
says
so he
something
tr-
as such in a
Probably
point.
that it's like, yeah, like this is my opportunity. This is what I can impart onto the citizens of Deadwood. Give them a little bit of vocabulary.
But then he never understands the situation that's at hand.
No.
That's the problem. It's like, sure, if that's what you're aiming to do, that's great. But the problem is every time he wants to do it is at the expense of like people knowing what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah.
It's like in moments that are like that require it.
Yeah.
You know, and
I did really identify with his being annoyed with the backseat editors.
Yeah.
oh, of
Standing
course.
around. This is the definitive edition. I'm not putting a question mark in it.
That was that's the first time that he said something. I was like, yeah, stop
Do
telling
you think we should put a question mark?
No,
Plague
it's
in
a-
Deadwood?
It's a damn.
Plague?
God damn, you guys don't know what the fuck you're doing.
It's printed.
Yeah, exactly.
This is
it's
the
over.
definitive edition.
It's over. I'm tired of
I'm
moving
not
the
taking
damn type
I'm not
around.
taking any more revisions
Yeah,
on this.
I like his snide little remark about everyone's, all the helpful editors.
You're right.
For
Yeah,
the-
yeah.
That's for anyone that's ever written anything ever.
Yes.
It's like, oh, thank you.
Well, it looks like his printing press is literally just a stall outdoors with no cover.
Yes.
And like, there's a nice moment. He gets annoyed all throughout, but then at the very end, as everyone's walking away, and they show like Al and Cy, and they're all just kind of stalking away, lost in their own thoughts, and it goes back to him, and he's like talking to no one. He's like, "Nice working with you, gentlemen," and so like he appreciated like the interaction that it took, as opposed to a solitary, weird,
Oh,
lonely
yeah.
Merrick thing.
He was important to them in that moment. I mean, he had a place at the
He
table.
had a role, yeah, to play in this big event in
Right.
the camp.
Right.
And I
Which,
was
he's the newspaper guy. He always has a role in that. But
But that's also right into his character where he wants to feel like he's right there. He's one of the most
Yeah.
important people in the camp.
Yeah.
But he's the reason. The actual Merrick. There's actually several different people who worked on the Black Hills Pioneer. But like, it's a reason that we have a record of some of these things. Like the
Of
reason
these
we know
events.
that Jack McCall said, "Take that, damn you," and shot. We know that because he wrote about it.
Right.
And so it's like he's not the best record, but he is a record.
Sure.
So he has a purpose.
Of course.
But he generally seems very easily compromised.
Yes.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah,
At all times.
probably as everyone in the Deadwood campus.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty much. Go ahead. I mean, I think that's pretty much.
I
the
mean,
whole,
I think what else happened even really?
I ran out of
I
things
think
in my.
that's it.
It felt like it ended abruptly. I mean, it
Yeah,
just
the-
felt kind of
the-
like.
This is the existential moment where
Where
he's
he-
talking about the
Yeah.
thing or whatever.
As a base of operations, nothing beats a saloon.
Nothing
is the
beats
line.
a saloon.
As he's like opining about his
He's
important
looking at the newspaper,
contribution.
yeah.
Every other ending, it seems like, is this very definitive thing. It's like him with his feet getting cut by Trixie. So, it's like he's learned to trust people. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
at the end of the first episode, it's like you don't fuck with Al. It's like
Yeah, yeah.
it's like with him staring off into nothing and Trixie climbing into bed with him and all that stuff. There's a lot of like really definitive endings to this show so far, and this is the first one that's felt like almost meandering in a way.
Well, again, I think it's if they could have ended, and it felt like they were ending on the shot of the two Native American people.
Right.
But I think that would have been a very false ending because it's like it's such a cheap way of saying, look, we're honoring Native American people because our hero characters murdered them,
Right.
or murdered
Yeah.
one and then buried him next to the headless body of the other. But
Yeah.
like it's better for them to go back to Al because that's such a more truthful character, and it's just, I mean, I think it's more like it encourages you to romanticize Al as this dude who has this saloon and he drinks a lot and he's got this cool voice and this badass friend.
Do you know what it feels like? It almost feels like Cheers.
Yeah,
It almost feels like the ending of Cheers, and they're like craning out, with him talking about like there's only one place. What does he say?
As a base of operations,
you
nothing
cannot
beats.
beat a fucking saloon. And And he takes a shot and slams it down, and then they have a like
It's his like paper.
wider shot as he's like flipping over the newspaper.
As a base of operations, you can't beat a saloon. Dun, 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 ba-da-da-da-da-da.
Well, and right prior to that, Dan, they were talking about the newspaper, and Dan said, "I don't know why he doesn't get news about the baseball. Chicago's got a team."
Exactly. But that's what led into it for me
Right,
for thinking
yeah.
about Cheers and
Right,
stuff
yeah.
was like, why is he talking about baseball? It's like,
Yeah, it was very
Like-
shocking. I
yeah.
was like, baseball was invented, but it apparently was invented. So.
Yeah, Chicago has a team now. But yeah, and Al says some things about like, you know, who knows where we'd be, you know, if circumstances had been different. You
Right.
know,
Oh yeah,
or
a few forks in the road taken differently. and
right. Yeah. Yeah.
right.
It's interesting. I wonder. You know, I mean, he's pretty much king. of
Yeah.
his tiny kingdom,
Right.
but it's threatened fundamentally now.
Yeah.
He sees by Sai,
Yeah.
who has outmaneuvered him
Yeah.
multiple times.
And then he just kind of like remarks on the fact that, well, I still got a pretty good vantage point for things in this camp.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's at this saloon. You know?
Triangulate.
Yeah. Triangulate. Who comes from that way? I got it. Who comes that way? I got him.
More great Calamity Jane.
Well, is there anything else we want to say about this episode?
I don't think so.
Making your way in the world today takes
everything
everything
you
you
got.
got.
I think you're gonna have to pay if you should.
As long as we slam a bottle down.
Anyways,
Anyways,
Tooth beaver slapping logs. You can't keep the gold from me.